Hello my dear friends, hope you are safe and fine. I welcome all of you to this video lecture. Today I want to discuss an essay, What is Literature by Terry Eagleton. This essay is the introductory chapter of his book, Literary Theory and Introduction. This book is very much popular with students of English literature. In fact, Terry Eagleton has made the study of literary theory very much entertaining. He wrote many other books, but he is primarily remembered for this book. In fact, he has become rich for this book. Now, the book is basically about literary theory. Nevertheless, in the introductory chapter, that is the present essay, he grapples with the notion of literature. If there is literary theory, there has to be literature. And there is literature. But what is it? We as students of literature, teachers of literature, lovers of literature, think that we know what literature is. But as we read this essay, we realize that it is a very, very complicated question to which it is almost impossible to give a definitive answer. Nevertheless, there are some assumptions about literature. Terry Eagleton examines each of them. Terry Eagleton destabilizes each of them with strong argumentation, with strong examples, and finally he comes to the conclusion that defining literature is an unstable affair. First of all, he examines literature, the very notion of literature as imaginative writing. Definitely the writings of Dante, Shakespeare, Marlowe are examples of imaginative writing, and they are highly regarded as literature. Then what about the essays of Francis Bacon? What about the sermons of John Donne? What about the spiritual autobiography of John Bunyan? In French literature, even some of the funeral speeches are also regarded as literature. In the history of English literature, we come across some letters, diary, they are also regarded as literature. At the same time, there are some highly imaginative writings, for example, the super comic fiction. For example, the Harry Potter series, they are not regarded as serious literature. Again, there are some writings which are very much imaginative for many readers. Again, the same text is historical for many readers. Therefore, the use of imagination cannot be the foundation on the basis of which we come to a definitive definition of literature. Then Terry Eagleton examines the famous theory propounded by the Russian formalists. The very name formalism signifies that the Russian formalists gave much importance to the form. They believe that in literature there is the arbitrary assemblage of literary devices such as imagery, rhyme, rhythm, narrative technique, etc. Roman Jakobson makes a very famous statement that literature is the organized violence committed on ordinary speech. That means the language used in literature is entirely different from the ordinary language. Another famous formalist, Klofsky, makes a statement that in literature, readers experience the artfulness of object. Object is not so much important, artfulness is very much important. In fact, he believes that the content is just the motivation for the form, for the artfulness. Now let me give you one example. When I say, I love you, and when I think of you, I feel extremely happy. But when William Shakespeare expresses this thought in the concluding couplet of one of his sonnets, he expresses in this way: For thy sweet love remembered, such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings. Now in this expression, there is the special use of language. Spatial use of language is important. The form is important. Equally important is the content. In fact, the form must follow the content. We love war and peace, we love plague, we love crime and punishment, not only because of the form. Form is there, special use of language is there. Equally important for us as readers is the content. We love war and peace more for the content than for the form. Form is there. Now let me give you another example. We come across certain manuals, certain advertisements, certain signboards, certain rhetorical writings where there is the special use of language. Will they qualify as literature? No. Therefore, Terry Eagleton makes fun of this theory, and thus we see that the theory propounded by the Russian formalist does not hold much ground. It cannot be accepted, and thus Eagleton destabilizes it. Then he examines another notion that literature is a non-pragmatic discourse. Now again, this is up to the readers how they read a particular text. It may be pragmatic for him. For example, I am influenced by Tolstoy, and there are many people who are influenced by Tolstoy across the world. There are some political writings with strong appeal. They have influenced many people across the world. And some books, are taken by many as literary writing, and the same book is taken by many as historical writing. Let me give you an example. Edward Gibbon, his account of the rise and fall of Roman Empire is read by many as literature because of his prose style. The same book is read by many as historical writing. In fact, Gibbon himself intended his writing to be historical, but it came to be ranked as literature. Now, Bible, for many, it is literature. It is imaginative literature. But the same Bible is read by the Jews as historical writing. They have claimed Israel on the basis of it. Therefore, he makes a very, very famous statement imitating part of the dialogue of Malvolio in 12th Night. That is, some texts are born literary, some achieve literariness, some have literariness thrust upon them. Therefore, calling literature as non-pragmatic discourse is fallacious. Then he examines the notion that literature is fine writing. Can there be some writing which is essentially fine, inherently fine? It is fine when it was produced. It remained fine throughout the ages. Now this fine writing, the very notion of fine writing is ambiguous. Some writing may be fine for me, the same writing may not be fine for many other readers. The writings of many writers were considered fine at a particular time, but the same writing in the later ages were not considered to be fine. Therefore, the very notion of fine writing, calling literature as fine writing, is ambiguous. Then he examines another very popular notion that literature is a kind of highly valued writing. Again, assigning value to a particular writing, to a particular work, entirely depends on the reader, his prejudices, his value system, his choice, or his background. Now there are some institutions, there are some political parties, there are some countries that promote some books, and some of them are really fine. For example, the canonization process. But this is again socially constructed. the very process of canonization is socially constructed. Those countries, those people, those communities, those political parties, they have some ideologies on the basis of which they promote those books. So, in the writings of Homer or Shakespeare were taken differently in different ages. Many readers find some elements in their writings to value, at the same time to devalue. Now he comes to the famous experiment by I. Richards. In a closed classroom, I. Richards distributed some poems. Some of them were written by the great poets. Some of them were written by some unknown poets. He distributed the poems without giving the titles of the poems and the names of the poets. And he was surprised when he examined their evaluation. Some of the greatest poets were not given importance at all. But some of the unknown poets were overrated. Now these students, they come from a particular society. They have cultivated a particular value system. They have their ideologies. They have their prejudices. They have their likes and dislikes. And on the basis of which they have evaluated in a process, some of the great poets, they scored low, and some of the unknown poets, they were overrated. Therefore, these value judgments are arbitrary. These value judgments are socially constructed. Therefore, on the basis of this, we cannot define literature definitively. Thus, we see that in this essay, Eagleton examines methodically all the assumptions. I would not say all, but some of the assumptions about literature. He destabilizes each of them, and finally he comes to the conclusion that defining literature is an unstable affair. I would like to conclude by offering my definition of literature. My definition of literature is that literature defies definition. Thank you so much. Have a very, very nice day.